There are 8 unmistakable signs that reveal you were never truly designed to fit neatly into this world. Carl Jung discovered that those who carry these rare traits perceive existence in a way most people can't even begin to grasp. Your mind notices patterns invisible to the average eye. Crowds and social rituals don't energize you, they drain you. The presence of authority figures sparks an unexplainable resistance deep in your being. And perhaps most unsettling of all, the conventional prizes of success, wealth, praise, social approval feel utterly hollow the moment you reach them. Picture this. You're sitting in a bustling room, people laughing, chatting, their connections weaving into a comfortable rhythm, yet you feel utterly apart. Not lonely in the usual sense, but alone in the deeper sense of being out of sync with the collective lens. You watch how people engage in these unwritten social games, how they obey rituals without questioning them, and you silently wonder, how did I end up among these creatures who seem so foreign? Jung recognized this sensation intimately. He wrote, "The individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe." He understood that this separation isn't simply isolation, it's a signal of a different kind of consciousness emerging. What I call outsider awareness is not a defect, not a mental flaw that needs correction. Instead, it's a specialized way of experiencing reality, one that serves an evolutionary purpose in the development of humanity. And here's the radical truth Jung uncovered. Your alienation is not evidence that something is wrong with you. It's proof that you carry what he called psychological differentiation, the capacity to detach from collective thought and form an independent perspective. Most people, Jung observed, exist in what we might describe as hive mind consciousness. They think the same thoughts, hold the same opinions, and find safety in dissolving into the crowd. Jung warned, the individual is increasingly deprived of moral decision-making and ethical independence. But some cannot live this way. They feel the pull of what Jung named the tension of opposites, to belong outwardly to the human race, yet inwardly remain separate from its collective mind. That's why you so often feel like an anthropologist observing humanity, watching rituals, customs, and assumptions as if they belong to an alien species. This isn't dysfunction, it's evolution unfolding. Jung saw such people as pioneers, scouts of consciousness, exploring psychological landscapes the majority are not yet ready to enter. Over years of research and observation, Jung identified specific patterns in those who live with this differentiated awareness, what I call the 8 markers of the outsider mind. If these resonate, you're not broken. You're becoming the authentic individual Jung saw as vital to humanity's future. 1. Pattern recognition overdrive. The first sign is your uncanny ability to see patterns where others see nothing. Jung noticed that differentiated minds don't just look at the surface of life, they penetrate it. They notice contradictions between people's words and their energy. They trace how institutions quietly sustain dysfunction, and they recognize the invisible strings of belief holding society together. Jung wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." You have awakened to connections most people miss entirely. But this gift comes with a cost. When you point out these patterns, others often stare blankly or push back defensively. To them, you appear paranoid or overthinking. But in reality, you are mirroring back truths they would rather not confront. Jung described this as becoming an uncomfortable mirror. Your very clarity forces people to question assumptions they've never dared to examine. 2. The solitude restoration. Most people recharge their energy through stimulation and social contact. But you find replenishment in solitude. Jung distinguished between simple introversion and what he called psychological introversion, a deeper necessity to process life inwardly before engaging outwardly. In solitude, you don't feel cut off, you feel whole. You can think without interference, reconnect with your authentic self, and engage with what Jung described as the transcendent function, the bridge between your conscious and unconscious mind. Society often mislabels this. They call you antisocial, depressed, reclusive. Jung disagreed. For differentiated individuals, solitude is survival. Without it, you're exposed to what he termed psychic contamination, absorbing the unprocessed emotions, beliefs, and projections of the collective. Solitude isn't an escape, it's medicine. 3. Resistance to illegitimate authority. Another hallmark is your natural resistance to authority that lacks wisdom. Jung repeatedly emphasized the struggle of the individual against the tribe. For you, that struggle often emerges when you face bosses, teachers, or leaders who wield power without integrity. This isn't rebellion for rebellion's sake. It's a visceral reaction to false authority. Your psyche instinctively recognizes the archetype of the wise ruler, and when authority falls short of that standard, your being rejects it. Others may comply easily. You cannot. This resistance isn't immaturity, it's integrity. 4. The hollow nature of success. Jung discovered that people with differentiated minds rarely find satisfaction in what society calls success. You may have achieved things, degrees, promotions, wealth, yet each accomplishment leaves you emptier than before. This isn't ingratitude, it's a deeper compass pulling you away from conformity and toward individuation, Jung's word for becoming your true self. He wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." For you, achievement often triggers what I call success dysphoria. The better you perform in systems you don't believe in, the more disconnected you feel. Family and friends celebrate your wins, but inside you wonder, why does this feel meaningless? Jung explained this as the price of adaptation, thriving externally while dying internally. Your psyche will not let you settle for hollow victories. 5. Emotional absorption and psychic sensitivity. You walk into a room and instantly sense its emotional climate. You know when someone is lying, not by their words, but by the vibration they carry. Jung called this participation mystique, a blurring of boundaries between self and other. Most people occasionally experience this, but for you, it's constant. You absorb the emotions of others unconsciously. Anger, grief, anxiety. They seep into your own system. This is why crowds overwhelm you and certain people exhaust you. Jung described this as psychic contagion. You become, in a sense, an emotional sponge. And while it grants you deep empathy, it also demands boundaries. Jung stressed the importance of psychological differentiation, learning to separate what is truly yours from what you've absorbed. Without this skill, your sensitivity becomes suffering. With it, it becomes power. 6. Thinking in symbols. Unlike the majority who cling to literal surface-level thinking, you live in the realm of symbols and archetypes. Jung described symbols as bridges between the conscious mind and the deeper layers of the psyche. You find profound meaning in dreams, synchronicities, myths, and stories. You recognize archetypal patterns in politics, culture, and relationships. While others see only events, you perceive forces, archetypes, moving through human life. Jung saw this symbolic thinking as a higher form of consciousness, one capable of grasping truths beyond logic. You may intuitively grasp psychological or spiritual realities without needing formal education. You see the patterns beneath patterns. 7. Transformation through crisis. Differentiated individuals don't escape crisis, they are forged by it. Jung noted that such people often endure periods of profound psychological breakdown, depression, loss, existential despair. Yet these crises act as initiatory thresholds. He wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Your darkest hours have not destroyed you, they have restructured you. What I call initiatory crises become accelerators of growth, forcing you to integrate shadow and light into a deeper wholeness. While most people crumble under such weight, you transform. Your breakdowns become breakthroughs. 8. The calling to awaken others. Perhaps the most important marker. Despite feeling alien to this world, you feel irresistibly called to help others grow. Jung recognized that differentiated individuals naturally become agents of individuation. They can't help but challenge, teach, create, or heal. This isn't a chosen career path, it's a compulsion of the psyche. Whether you write, create art, or innovate, you feel compelled to give form to your inner experience. Jung wrote, "The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct acting from inner necessity. Your creativity is necessity, not luxury, natural spiritual awareness." Finally, Jung noted that differentiated individuals carry a natural spirituality, not necessarily religious, but deeply intuitive. You feel guided by synchronicities, connected to a reality beyond the material, aware of a hidden intelligence shaping events. Jung called this the religious function of the psyche. You may feel alienated by dogma or by rigid materialism. You know truth exists beyond both. Your spirituality isn't belief, it's direct experience. You are not broken. So here is Jung's message, distilled. Your alienation, your solitude, your resistance, your strange sensitivities, these are not flaws. They are proof of psychological evolution. You are the bridge between worlds. You are the consciousness pioneer. You see what others can't, feel what others avoid, and hold truths others deny. And in doing so, you prepare the ground for a more evolved humanity. Jung's words echo as a final reminder. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are.